we needed to celebrate in that evening the Torah, that we started to read it from the beginning.
Simchat Torah.
Yeah. And in this neighborhood, there was a total slaughter. Yeah. There were people who were beheaded, people who some of their hands were cut by knives, and people who they just killed in their own house, in their own apartment. So we can go and see like this in every apartment that someone was murdered or kidnapped. They put a sign, and we can see it.
Then I'll show you Gaza so you can take a picture, see how close Gaza is.
How many people were killed in this kibbutz?
60 people, more than 60, and around and more than 20 were kidnapped.
And have any of them been returned?
Yeah, some of them were returned, and some of them they found that are dead.
And IDF was managed to kill here more than 150 terrorists in the process of clearing the kibbutz from terrorists. 150 bodies that they were collecting here of terrorists.
I'm a major in the reserve of the Israeli army. I was a company commander.
Don't worry about it, you can.
I was a company commander in my regular duty. I was almost 7 years in the army. And then I was a company commander in my battalion.
Where are you serving? What do you need?
And I am now an operating officer from the battalion 7020 that is in charge of the whole area.
Okay.
And I myself in charge of the kibbutzes around here. I'm in charge of Kfar Azza, Be'eri, Nachal Oz, Saad, and Alumim. And my battalion came to Kfar Azza in 9th of October. We managed to kill the last of the terrorists that were in the kibbutz.
Okay.
And we, איך אומרים תיארנו?
We scanned and cleared.
Yeah, we officially cleared the kibbutz. כן, אחר כך תלמינו. We officially cleared the kibbutz. When I came here, it was completely raw, the whole area. It was all over the kibbutz. We found somewhere 150 bodies of terrorists that were all over the kibbutz, and we started to find and bring to
Burial.
burial, the Israelis. So
In the houses and in the
yes.
cars
So
and everywhere, yeah.
only in Kfar Azza, they were killed more than 60 people.
Local people.
Local people that you can go straight, and more than 20 were kidnapped.
How many terrorists were killed here on the kibbutz?
Around 150.
150.
Around 150.
Total, okay.
Maybe even more, but I can say what I saw by myself. So in Kfar Azza, there is one neighborhood that's where are we going now, that was completely destroyed. Okay, they call it the young generation neighborhood, and this is it.
Right, the new expansion for the young.
Every kibbutz has a young generation neighborhood time.
Right.
Box. We're gonna see it by our own eyes. We can enter only to one room, okay, because the rest of the rooms they closed it because of privacy stuff and stuff.
I'm sure it's very painful for everyone to
Yes.
make this reality what everyone comes to see.
Yeah. So let's go and I will show you the route that the terrorists came. Yes. Where they arrested on the 7th of October. It took almost 3 days to say that there's no terrorists here.
Imagine thousands and thousands of terrorists.
How far is the fence to Gaza?
It's right down there. Okay, so this is
Where they came from?
where they came from.
There's
Okay.
right?
It's like 15 minutes walk, and you can ride it in 5 minutes.
Oh, yes, it's fun. It's the northern part of the Gaza Strip.
Yes, but it also goes to that way also.
So what,
We
what
are
do
s-
we see now?
We see now.
Beit Lahia?
No, it's not Betleia. It's you can say it's part of Sajaiya.
Okay.
Okay.
A lot of
Whatever's left of
ruthless,
Sajaiya.
ruthless terrorists came from there.
So Jabalia would be just over there.
Yes, and Dir el-Balach is over there. Okay, so you can see that the neighbor. Okay, who lives in the neighborhood? People that are serving the army, and people who finish the army. A lot of young couples, or people who live by themselves, people in their prime years, that we love to say. And the terrorists went apartment by apartment, killed who they could. They afterwards also went to the inside of the kibbutz. But like, this is a whole neighborhood that was destructed. Okay? Most of the people who live here, that was in 7th of October in the kibbutz, or murdered or kidnapped. You can see that in every apartment. You can see that in every apartment there is like signs who live where.
The kibbutz is abandoned now, for now, evacuated.
It's evacuated.
Evacuated.
There's a civilian guard
Okay.
that is in here.
היי.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
מה קורה, מאיה בנטוויץ'? איך הולך חמודה?
סלם, סלם.
בסדר גמור. אתה מכיר את מאיה?
לא, עכשיו אני מכיר אותה.
שאלה. Yes. Apartment that we can go inside.
Go, fine.
Leave the young couple,
Fine.
20s.
You filming?
And the father of the girl who lived here was the commander of the National Army Radio in Israel. So
Who is it?
Shimon al-Kabetz.
שמעון אלקבץ, בטח. Yeah, his sister is good friends with me.
So his daughter was murdered
Nepal.
in this apartment.
Who? Really?
Yes, Sivan.
Ay,
Oh, there's her picture. Sivan.
wow, I didn't know that.
And her mother. Yes, so you can go outside, and her mother like made it as not a museum, but an apartment that you can go inside and feel what happened in that day. You see there is lines all over the other apartment. בבקשה, כן, כנסו. You can go outside also.
You can go inside, Pinto.
Bullet holes. In the washing machine. כאילו, כאן, מתפוצץ ככה. הנה, זה הרסס האחיד, זה לא כדורים של נשק. So here's where they went to hide in the bomb shelter. And didn't survive. Young people in the prime of their life, their lives destroyed as they were murdered, their future destroyed. So this is the example of the age group of some of these young people. Her aunts used to come and stay with us in our project in Beit Zera.
So, to our understanding, this is when they were killed, because not Sivan and not Naol answered anymore. And it's practically the same. This is from Sivan's cell phone And this is from Naol. And you can see 11:13, he said, they shot here on the house, but he's not replying anymore. 11:13, 12:21, and no more reply. And they understood that they were murdered here in this house. What did she say when they went? So she says, Dad, he says, Baruch Hashem, thank God. And then she goes, please tell me that you're okay, that the guy is okay, Noah is okay, Guy is her brother, Noah is her sister. We're hiding in the safe room, right in here. They were at the window. We are under the bed, myself and Naol. Is everybody okay, Dad? We're fine. Everybody's fine. Do you hear soldiers? Send me your location. And that's practically the last messages that she writes. Now understand that the safe room or the shelter, it's not designed to be a bunker.
Right.
It's designed to avoid a rocket attack, and to sit there for an hour, maybe 2 hours, because there is no faucet, there is no water, there is no bathroom. You cannot lock the door. It's designed that it can be opened from the outside in case of an emergency. If the house collapses, so rescue personnel can actually open it from the outside. And just try to imagine what it means to sit in these safe rooms for 5, 6, 10, 12, 24, 36 hours sometime until you can be rescued. We're moving further outside. Toda, slicha. There is
That's
a
what
memoir
you're trying
book
to hide,
if
but
anybody wants
it's
to
a
write
bomb
something
shelter, not
for
a
the
massacre
family, so
shelter.
you can just
Big
write.
difference between a bomb shelter and a massacre shelter. That's what he's trying to make. You can, it's for bombs that are falling, but not to stop penetration. Stop actual terrorists walk it through. Yeah, this grenade was blown up right here. That's up close, and then the shrapnel is what one grenade will do. Lock it flies all the way over. Those aren't bullet holes. That's a grenade. And then here, these are bullet holes. These are.
So they came in, they actually opened the door because there's no bullet holes in the door. So
Yeah.
they actually opened the door.
Yeah, it looks
They were
like
able to get
see,
in.
it's not really, it's something we have to rethink is how do you make sure that bomb shelters are not just protecting from falling from the sky, but how do you make them massacre proof? That's a question people never really, I guess, thought about until now. They're not supposed to be massacre proof.
What are their names? Did you catch the
Yeah,
names
it's
of this?
Sivan and Naor. Right here, the names are right here. It says Sivan, right? Sivan or Al.
Let's continue. So that was the youngsters neighborhood and all its names.
Hello, nice to meet you. Hello. So, okay, so I said it before, but the whole kibbutz was conquered on the 7th of October. Terrorists went, not almost, I think almost every house, and some houses and apartments, they not fought because there were people here without weapons, without nothing.
Pajamas.
And, yeah, Shabbos, in the morning, it was holiday. We needed to celebrate in that evening the Torah, that we started to read it from the beginning.
Simchat Torah.
Yeah. And in this neighborhood, there was a total slaughter. Yeah. There were people who were beheaded, people who some of their hands were cut by knives, and people who they just killed in their own house, in their own apartment. So we can go and see like this in every apartment that someone was murdered or kidnapped. They put a sign. We can see it.
And some of them all that are dead.
In IDF was managed to kill here more than 150 terrorists in the process of clearing Kibbutz from terrorists. 150 bodies.
Here we are. Groups coming to listen to what happened here. Guys, you have a responsibility. Seriously. What took place here? It wasn't against Palestinians. It was against everybody. Everybody. Not just Jews, not just Americans, not just foreign nationals. There were also Arab Muslims that were killed during October 7th. Hamas instilled hate into people. They used misinformation. They used propaganda. We have soldiers inside of Gaza right now making sure that Hamas can never do another October 7th. That's their purpose. Your purpose? To make sure Hamas can't use propaganda to manipulate people again. We're the generation of phones and social media. Good, use it to your advantage. Fight against the propaganda. Because October 7th happened because Hamas used misinformation to turn it into hate. Hate turned into October 7th. October 7th was bodies that we were pulling out of here. Friends that we were losing. Women that were raped. They say it's in the name of resistance. What did a baby 10 months old do in 10 months of its life to justify resistance? You gotta be freaking kidding me. What did women do to get assaulted? What did men do to have their genitals cut off? These are not soldiers. They didn't come after the soldiers. They came after people who were at a music festival. They came after people that were in the houses. October 7th, people woke up and their world flipped upside down. They did nothing to deserve it. I don't care what anybody says. You guys here, your purpose, your duty is to let the world know and to never freaking forget why we have every right to defend ourselves. Why we're inside of Gaza. The rest of the world is talking about the Gaza war. What about October 7th? The reason that we're inside of there. We're going to get our hostages back. We have 129 of them that were taken on October 7th, and we have 4 more that were taken before that are still waiting to be recovered. For years they've been inside of there. For years their families are waiting to get them back so they can give them proper due respect of burying them. Guys, these are people's kids. These are people's fathers and family members. We're talking about the victims. We also have the heroes that ran into the fire. People were saying, where was the security forces? Guys, there was thousands of terrorists that came in with RPGs, with grenades, with claymores. They were booby trapping houses. You know, in the first week when we were here and we were pulling out the bodies, Zaka had to go in with Yalom. Why was Yalom going in? Because all the bodies were booby trapped with explosives, pressure plates under them, grenades inside of them. When the bodies, some of them got to Shula, where they were trying to identify the victims, they had to keep clearing out and calling Kabbalah, the bomb disposal, because they would find grenades inside. Yalom. Guys, what happened here was sick. It was not humane. You need to tell the world that when you're standing with Israel, it's not just standing with Jews, you're standing with humanity against terrorism. What took place was terrorism. That's the only word for it. I'm here 90 days in. I see the families coming back to the houses. I was in Shula having to be there when we're telling them, your kid was slaughtered, passed away. They were private. Knowing that they weren't in Gaza right now. That's what they wanted, the closure. Because what was killing them was not knowing. Guys, I thank you for coming here. It is so freaking important, really. And excuse me that I'm not politically correct and diplomatic and whatever, and I'm saying all these words, but seriously, this is not a game. This is real life. The world doesn't understand what the hell took place here. It's up to you guys. I just want to one last thing that I heard that touched me throughout this whole war. I keep thinking about it, and it was at the Washington protest, the Washington rally. Sorry. Where everybody was coming together, and I saw this girl with 2 pictures on her sign, and she said the first one is my grandma. She's a Holocaust survivor.
is my hero. The second one is my new hero. It's my brother. He's inside of Gaza right now. He's keeping the promise to my grandma of never again. Never again. That's the reason we're inside of Gaza right now. If anybody forgets it, show them. Show them. That's what you're here for. Thank you, guys.
Burned alive, Ofer Shoshani, young Jewish girl, the hands of brutal terror.
You can see it's a completely war zone, yeah? Terrorists went apartment by apartment, wanted to do a really
Thorough.
yeah, very thorough job, unfortunately. And there were also terrorists in the other parts of the kibbutz. But here it was really thorough, yeah, apartment by apartment. If they couldn't break in, they would put small bombs on the door. And some people were killed inside by the explosion. Yeah, because the door. Okay, so there were people who were holding the door. So with a small bomb, the person that was on the other side of the door, most of the times injured or completely blew up. Yeah. We needed to recover them by pieces. I can show you an apartment of a guy that I knew, but this is the way that he was murdered.
Wow. How much time did they have?
Before the military.
In Kfar Azza came a small military unit that was not far from here, and they managed to come here on an Amer. An Amer is kind of
armored vehicle.
APV,
Yeah,
armored
armored vehicle.
personnel carrier,
They
APC.
fought here, I think, from the morning, but they were a small group. Like the army as an army, like big units that came to the area.
Battalions, platoons.
Yeah, it was only around 2, 3
In the afternoon.
in the afternoon. Yeah.
And this
Before
started
that,
at
small
6:30.
units.
This started at 6:30.
8 hours.
Yes, yes.
So they had probably a good eight or 9 hours.
Yeah, yeah. In some kibbutzes like Nir Oz, when the army came, there wasn't even terrorists inside. Wow. They managed to do whatever they wanted.
So they were armed with obviously rocket launchers, with grenades, with Kalashnikovs,
Yes.
with even anti-tank RPGs.
In Be'eri, we found a landmine against tanks.
Wow.
It's a big one. As you
Like
know.
this, to destroy something like this is
This is
The RPG.
or an RPG or an explosive bomb.
yeah. They had bombs too.
כמה נוח'בה
And our job in Yalom is to actually take these bombs and destroy them so they don't lay around the place.
So yeah, okay. So there were 3 waves. Okay, the first wave.
You guys listening?
There were 3 waves of terrorists that came here.
3 waves.
Yeah, the first wave, Nukhba terrorists, is the special unit. They did in all of the kibbutzes the breaking in.
The initial.
Yeah, the initial. Most of them probably got a special
Training.
special training in Syria or even in Iran.
Is that right?
The second wave was plain infantry, not that trained, to tell the truth. I've seen videos, and I think that the last terrorists that we killed in the 9th of October was one of them. And the third wave was just plain people from Gaza that came with knives, with hammers, and did, in Be'eri, by the way, mostly, did, yeah.
To take a spoil of war. Yeah, it's not robbers.
Yeah, the
Looters.
Yeah, looters and rapists
Yeah,
was the third wave.
as people who dismember other people.
As you heard the police officer, I have a friend who evacuated bodies from the Re'im party, that more than 350 people were murdered there, and he's seen by his own eyes Israeli men and women without their genitals, women that their breast was cut off, they had something with the men's genitals. Yes, they found a lot of men without their how can I say it in a
Genitals.
genitals.
Yeah,
It's a thing of honor.
Reproductive organs is a nice way to say it. Testicles, reproductive organs.
in a biblical.
Yeah, I think he was talking about everything.
כאילו לגמרי, את הכל הורידו.
כן.
That's what they call sick and twisted.
זאת הגדר ההיקפית של כפר עזה?
Just peeled away. Yep, those are the bomb shelters. They just peeled the metal. You can hear the drones that are surveilling.
That's the border fence right there of the actual Kfar Azza kibbutz, Gaza village.
It's not Gaza, it's
A village.
He managed to escape with Alonshinas.
It's
Over there. And unfortunately they were killed with another third guy by our troops
look at this.
in the middle of Sajaiya, yes?
in an attempt to release.
Nirel, Zini, and Niv Raviv brutally murdered in this house. Wow, just. Imagine if this was happening to your house. What would you do? I think you wouldn't let this slide. That's why we have to complete our mission.
So the colonel that was in charge of southern
Brutally
Gaza
murdered.
brigade.
אתה תשלח לי קצת.
That's what I Joshua is saying.
כן, אבל תשלח לי תמונות, אתה גם לוקח קצת?
לא, היא.
Please.
אפשר screenshot me.
He died and they killed him in Nirim.
You know how you do it, right? You push this picture. You see something you want, get the picture. Do you know that about iPhones? This is a picture if you while you're.
It's a young neighborhood. Yes, they are all still in a summer vibe. Yes, you can see people are sitting outside. A big commune of people in their prime years. So Yuval celebrated his birthday in the 6th of October. He's two good friends of his, and one of them is a good friend of mine also. And she's serving with me in the reserve. They. Yeah, no, they were with him until 12 in the night, and they thought staying here to sleep. And in the last moment, yes, let's go. I have a big test of the summer semester. I want to go back and study. And in the last moment, they were saved. And Solomon, they showed me the texting. He was alive almost until 11. He texted that he managed to stab a terrorist in the head because he didn't have nothing. He took a knife. And then when he was, fighting with the terrorist in the door, they put a small bomb on the door, and he died from the explosion. We found his parts afterwards. Me and a good friend of ours also.
Like opening the door and.
No, they didn't. He was fighting with them with the door, and they, okay, so there were other people, terrorists were shooting at the door, and they ruined the manganon.
The lock mechanism.
Yeah,
So you can't open the door.
You can't open it because they ruined the mechanism. Solomon, unfortunately, they put him a small bomb in the shallow part of the door, and he died from the explosion.
What is she?
She is still kidnapped in Gaza. Okay. Yes, Doron also.
So when it says bring them home,
Yes.
we're referring to people who are kidnapped.
Yes.
As opposed to murder. If it doesn't say murder, it means
So
That's
she
our
is
job,
kidnapped.
to bring them
Alon Shimris was kidnapped and died
Shimris, of
with
course.
Yotam Chaim when they tried to escape.
Right. Yes, but it was a sad,
Oh,
sad.
can you say
Yes.
that? Can
The
you say
very
that
tragic thing that happened with the idea.
Go ahead.
Alon Shimris and Gali Berman and his twin. They are,
He's Ziv Berman.
yes, so they are twins. Ziv and Gali.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They're brothers and twins. In Kibbutz Nir Oz, there were also kidnapped two brothers that are twins. And Alon Shimris and Yotam Chaim, it was a drummer, a musician,
That's
over
the guy,
there.
yeah.
So they, with third guy, were killed when they after they escaped. Okay, so they were inside almost 60 days. That it's crazy, yeah, to be 60 days and managed to escape, but unfortunately died from friendly fire, from our fire. Okay, because the situation in Sajay is
That's the ginger guy, the
yes,
redhead
yes.
guy.
And you know, and I'm not sure, maybe you know, Ronnie, one of the mothers of the three boys,
Yeah, of Yotam.
she said, "You're welcome in my home at any
Yes,
time."
yes.
And they came, I think that
Yeah.
next day, the people who were part of the friendly fire.
She's a very special lady.
She forgave them, right? She said it's not your fault, it's the Hamas's fault.
It's
And she
unbelievable.
forgave the soldiers.
And she urges IDF to keep fighting. And, of course,
And all of the destruction that you can see here is by terrorists, yes? It's not by IDF soldiers who were shooting at the parts in the snow. I know that in Be'eri, they wanted to
Oh, to direct.
an helicopter to shoot at the kindergarten because there were 30, 40 terrorists inside of the kindergarten, and they didn't give him permission because they said they are not shooting in Israel soil.
Oh.
Okay.
He's an army guy, you can tell, because this is
Yes.
all the army guys go for this kind of shoot.
Skull.
One of the twins was named Gali Berman, and this is where he lived. And very sad to say, his twin brother over there, Ziv Berman. Both of them his brother was killed and he was taken hostage. He died in the friendly fire.
Terrorists that were in. I was in charge of the operation of taking out the bodies, yes, and bringing inside a lot of army forces. And like I was the officer that welcomed the people from Kfar Gaza to come here, because people left here in the 7th of October with their underwears. Okay, nothing.
needed to pick up stuff on the home.
Yeah.
Wow.
What I
How are you doing?
Okay.
I mean, you look
Yeah.
really, I
Yeah.
mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
In 10 years, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
I know that almost every car, there was not like one car that wasn't firebombed or shot by
Yeah,
the
they-
second wave or the third wave.
Every car that they saw, they just shot at.
Take
Yeah.
a trip of like,
Did you meet טל בס אולי? ראש כוח יהלום שסרק פה גם.
אנחנו עבדנו פה עם בחור מלך מסף.
they're doing it, they're working on it.
כן, הוא מסב.
So
התחלתי
nobody
במילואים.
at
אוקיי,
at
אז
its
לא.
worst, people will be like
הם היו
about
מדהימים פה סף.
a mile
כן.
away at any given point.
רוני.
And so be accused.
So this is an RPG.
Hold on, I like that.
Probably someone stood here.
Say that again. So what calls?
So this is probably an RPG. Someone stood here and shot an RPG at the wall.
And they were just. I guess that someone was locked in there.
So I'll show you another house that a friend of mine that I personally knew was murdered. I knew him even better than Solomon.
Really?
And I'll tell you the story of him and his wife. Felt safe here, okay? Even that we are 2 kilometers from Gaza. People felt safe here. Most of the weapons were in the armory. The terrorists probably knew where's the armory and they waited them here, okay? And Aviv Baram, who was also serving with me when I was Aviv, when I was a plain soldier, he got shot when he got out of the armory and he died in the tree there. He texted his wife, I'm injured, they shot me, you need to bring help. And unfortunately no one could rescue him and he died beneath that
Were they
tree.
military people or civilians and members of the Kibbutz?
They are all civilians members of the
These are
Kibbutz.
pioneers' places. I mean, just look. This is how it was years ago.
Yeah, but of civilians. He lived here. He was
From the
born here.
original Aliyah.
Abraham, I think, was a sound engineer.
Say that again. This was an original house.
Yeah, it's a house. It's a protected house. So,
Yeah.
so this is an armory or a weapons armory, but it's an old one from the beginning of this kibbutz,
Yeah.
which is the original Aliyah. So you can see how the kibbutz looked years and years and years ago,
Wow.
before all this, and we're just continuing a legacy of heroes to this day.
A good friend of mine from the class, called Shaili Atari, lived in this apartment where you see the wood on the window. And she lived here with her husband, Yahav Viner, that he's a native from Kfar Azza. He was born here. And when he finished his studying, they came back from Tel Aviv to Kfar Azza and they lived here. In the 7th of October, Shaili just had a baby, 1 month years old, or child. And the terrorists that came from the route from the armory, from where we came,
Yeah.
they probably heard something from that window, and they managed to open the window. And Yav was fighting with them, so that they will not open the window. And Shaili and her baby managed to run away and find a house that they will let them in, because people were afraid. But the family that opened for Shaili had cameras, and they noticed that Shaili is trying to get in, and they got her inside. Yav was fighting with them, and at some point they managed to throw 2 grenades inside the house, and he ran away also, and they shot and killed him. So now Shaili is a good friend of mine, 33 years old, is a young widow with a baby 4 months. And we can see and go to the front of the house.
A lot of widows now.
What they asked me to, but you can step on this and see what happened to the apartment. You can still see the burnt baby chair. Not
Carriage,
chair,
or you don't want us to go in the door.
Crib.
the door is locked. They locked it.
They burnt a baby in the baby crib.
The whole house was burnt, yes. But they
No, the
managed
baby
to-
got away with the mother.
Oh, the
They got away with the money.
You can see behind me, the sukkah is still up. This happened 6:30 in the morning on October 7th. And although death and destruction is behind me over here now, you can see here, you can feel a little sense of tranquility and peace. And you see the remains of a sukkah that never got taken down this year. Still up. Because there was nobody to take it down. Let's pray that there'll be many to put sukkahs up next year, 2023 in the fall, 2024 in the fall. God bless you.
90%. Totally peacefully here. A village. Beautiful one. They say that it's, like friends of mine from this area said that this is 90% heaven and 10% hell.
Now, I want to ask you, before we wrap up,
Yes.
how many Israelis will come and live here and repopulate? How many babies will be born that will grow up here after this?
I think that a lot. Like everybody understand that we need to come back here.
The prices, we got to buy houses here now.
Yes, yes. I think that even if there are some villages or kibbutzes that even half of the people will decide not to come back, all of the villages here will make kumai again. How do you say?
Yeah, resurrection.
Yes,
Resurrection.
I think there will be totally a resurrection.
We believe with you for it.
Man,
Thank you.
Ronnie, thank you so much.
No problem.
Wow.
It's done in prayer.
RPG damage in the ashes, in the a place where there was strewn hundreds and hundreds of bodies of Jewish people, innocent people, babies killed, people dismembered, their hands, their genitals chopped off. And it's just ridiculous. And so in this place of darkness where things were firebombed, where there was mortars, where there was RPGs, where there was just bullets strafing everything, innocent people who are having a high holy day in their tabernacle, and to see their houses burnt, we're standing in the gap and saying, no more is that going to happen? And we're believing for new life to come. Jewish people are praying every day to Mechiyeh HaMatim, the God who resurrects the dead, and we're believing for a resurrection in this place of death. Kfar Azza, same thing in Be'eri, same thing in Nachal Oz, Nir Yitzchak, all the places that have been just decimated by a massacre. How can humans derive pleasure from such obscenities? How can they do that? I don't know. It's people that have been depraved in their spirit. They are essentially animals and zombies. And so what we're praying though is for victory of the light over darkness, for the darkness to scatter, and for there to be a new day dawning, even in this new year. Very sad times.
You walk with us?
Yes.
That's what we need your help on. Can you walk with us? Can you?
Yes. Hanan is going to be joining us.
Will you join us? Good.
Mike Pence.
There's a circle inside with a dot inside. That indicates that there was a body.
So every body was booby trapped. A lot of bodies, because they were trained so well to think when a mother's crying over her son, suddenly they pick them up and then it blows up. They both blow. So this is the way they thought it was a massacre, not a freedom fighting thing, and it was a massacre. How do you
I'm there speaking with the Speaker of the Knesset and Mike Pence, former Vice President of the United States of America.
And then on top of that, we have specific being able to be here straight out of Gaza in the destruction here in Kfar Azza with Mike Pence and with Trey and many others, and being able to walk through this, it reminds us that at all costs we must not give up, we must not surrender, we must defeat the evil, and light will shine and scatter the darkness. And that is what the IDF will continue to do until all the hostages are returned, and Gaza will never again pose a threat against the free world, not only Israel.
And I'm a volunteer in Zaka International. Zaka is an organization that deals with dead bodies all around the world, not only in Israel. We go around the world as the UN officially recognized Zaka as a group of people that care for others, and we go around the world. We were in Turkey a few months ago collecting people that were killed in different tragedy things. We were around the world in Haiti, in Bombay, and different places. I'm 32 years a volunteer in Zaka, and I stood up in the UN to say what I dealt with. Right here in these kibbutzim, I dealt with hundreds of bodies. My eyes and these hands dealt with it, worked, collected bodies, parts of bodies. We had places that you cannot understand what happened. Women in different situations. Scary things that you can't really believe that a human person could do something like that. This is what we dealt with. And it's embarrassing to even think about the situation that people around the world could deny what happened over here. Oh, we need help around the world, so you call us in to help you, and then when it comes to our backyard, you deny it. You don't even speak about women's rights, whatever happened to those women. Talking about bodies that had different objects in their personal female organs. Talking about women that were half naked, leaning on their own beds, and they had a grenade, open live grenade in their hands. This is what I dealt with. The world has to understand what happened over here. And this is what we're going around and telling the truth. What we dealt with, I with my 10 fingers, my hands, my eyes, we dealt with.
Vice President Pence put his presidential coin in front of his house.
That's me and Nico Aviv's house.
Wow.
Here, come on.
Thank you for taking the time. What's your
Thank you,
initial,
Trey.
your initial reaction seeing this here in Kfar Azza?
It's just heartbreaking. I mean, to hear the stories of the terrorist attack of October 7th, just tear at the soul of every American. But to be here, to walk in this kibbutz, to walk through the streets of Sderot, to speak to the families directly impacted, just in every sense, steals my determination to do my part, to be a voice for American support for Israel. It's absolutely essential that as the fighting continues in Gaza, that the United States send a clear and unambiguous message that we are with Israel today, we will be with Israel tomorrow, and we will stay with Israel every day until the threat of terrorism from Gaza and Hamas is ended once and for all.
I want to talk about that. Right now, the Middle East is at a boiling point, and you saw a lot during your time as vice president and the steps that were taken under the administration. Just yesterday was the 4-year anniversary of the drone strike that took out Qasem Soleimani. When you look at the region today, what's your biggest concern?
My biggest concern is based on my belief that weakness arouses evil. And from the Biden administration's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan to policies of capitulation towards Iran, I think we've been sending a message of weakness that has emboldened the enemies of freedom. Here in the Middle East, in Eastern Europe and perhaps ultimately in the Asia Pacific. And I just think it's absolutely essential that America return to an unambiguous message of strength, and that we make it clear that we'll stay with Israel as they fight and defeat and crush Hamas, but that we also make it clear to other actors in the region, Hezbollah and most especially Iran, is that the United States will not tolerate widening of the war or any greater threat to Israel without directly engaging our response.
How would you describe the current administration's posture against Iran and its proxies?
You know, under our administration, we isolated Iran as never before. We put punitive sanctions on Iran. We unleashed our military and took down the ISIS caliphate that had been sponsored and subsidized by the mullahs in Tehran, and ultimately took action against Qasem Soleimani 4 years ago. That sent a message of strength and a willingness to use American power to defend our interests and our allies in the region. My concern today is that we're not communicating American strength in this part of the world. And I think it's absolutely essential for President Biden, but also for the leaders of the Republican Party and for those who would lead our party, to send a clear and unambiguous message that we recognize Israel is our most cherished ally. America is the leader of the free world, and we're going to do our part to defend freedom and defend our allies.
My last question has to do with October 7th. You visited Israel many times before, after serving. That morning, when you found out about what happened here in Kfar Azza, all of the kibbutzim, what was going through your mind?
That morning I found myself in Iowa, at a town hall meeting on News Road. And I never thought I'd live to see the day that we would speak about an attack on the people of Israel that would be compared to the Holocaust. But this was the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And to be here today, to walk in this kibbutz, to see the bullet holes, to hear the harrowing stories, to speak to hostage families, to me just reinforces the fact that this was not simply one event. This was an invasion by a terrorist Hamas army from Gaza that was supported and subsidized by their patrons in Tehran, and that it's absolutely essential that we stand by Israel while Israel finishes this fight and destroys Hamas once and for all, and ends the threat to their country and, frankly, the threat of Hamas terrorism across the region.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you. An act of unspeakable evil. And it's clear, talking to the surviving families, that Hamas came through that fence line for one purpose, and that was to kill Jews. And I know of no other definition of genocide than to target a people because of who they are. And it's for me, it's just so important as the fighting continues in Gaza. The threats continue.
Because next
the losses continue. Is that we have to make it clear that we stand with Israel.
But next week we are being dragged by South Africa to the International Court of Justice, blaming us for committing genocide over Palestinians. So how Israel should react? Should we ignore completely this organization or tribunal that under the Trump administration were totally ignored, or should we stand for our truth?
I think Israel and the United States should denounce any action to use the International Court of Justice, the United Nations, to equate the unprovoked genocidal attack of Hamas on the Jewish people with Israel's actions in self-defense. And the action Israel is taking today, while causing a heartbreaking loss of life, and I grieve for any loss of life, is absolutely essential to achieve the peace and stability that this region largely enjoyed on October 6th. And people that speak about a ceasefire need to remember that there was a ceasefire on October 6th. And apart from periodic rockets that were fired on communities like this kibbutz, the area was relatively stable. Hamas launched an invasion into Israel, 3,000 terrorist fighters that came for the express purpose of killing Jews. Their aim, as I learned today, was not just this kibbutz, not just Sderot, was to march to Jerusalem, was to march to Tel Aviv. And Israel has no choice but to fight and destroy Hamas once and for all. And for my part, as a private citizen from the United States, I'm going to continue to be a voice to support Israel until they accomplish that mission.
If I may,
Thank you so much.
if Israel was in the business of genocide, on October 8th, there was not a single person in the Gaza Strip. So what we do now is to eradicate Hamas's military and governmental capabilities. This is what the IDF is doing, to call us to the ICJ saying we are genocidal is like calling America up following 9/11 as a genocide. It's ludicrous. This is what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. I came here to make sure people knew we're with you.